Prajwal, you seem like the chirpiest amongst all the riders that I've spoken with, which is why I'm going to ask you what exactly goes into these bikes and what makes them the beasts that they are.
Sure. So, these bikes are designed in such a manner that they can withstand hard hits, soft hits, small bumps, big bumps, anything in between. And they can do that while a heavy rider is on top pushing onto the pedals. So first of all, we have something called suspension. Most riders will use only front suspension, which is up here. And some riders, like myself, we use two, front and rear. So when you're riding over rocks, the suspension basically comes in and goes back out, making sure your wheels are on the ground as long as possible. What that does is to make sure that you always have grip. Because in some sections, if the terrain is too bumpy, your wheel will come off the ground, and once you land, you might land in the wrong direction and crash. So this makes sure you have control. So in the front, this will squish, and in the rear, this will squish. This gear is called the SRAM Ego. It is a 12-speed gear, so 1 in the front, 12 in the back, and it has 11 teeth in the topmost and 50 at the back. This is the size of a small dinner plate. And with this, you can climb really efficiently up really steep climbs. Because many bikes that are there, many local bikes, kids bikes, they have very few gears, and the smallest or like the biggest gear, when you're riding on it, you can barely go uphill. With this, it makes going uphill very easy. Another cool thing is this seat post. It is called a dropper seat post. Now, there's a cable inside the bike which runs down the bottom, up this, out over here, this cable right here, and connects to my handlebars. Now, this saddle can move up and down by itself. There's a lever on my handlebar, and if I pull this, the saddle will come up. Let me show you that. So, when I'm riding uphill, I want my body up in the air, up on my saddle. I want to sit on it and climb. So my body weight is central. But when I'm going downhill, the angle of the ground is now facing down. And if your weight is too far forward, there's a high chance of you falling over. So to remove that, you want to move your weight back. But with such a high saddle in the way, it's going to be really difficult. You have to move over the saddle. And that makes riding really difficult. So you press this, push down, and it's done. One thing I have to mention are these pedals. You can see that no usual foot or shoe would sit on this properly. That's because it has these things called cages or clipless pedals. Our shoes have specific clips on them, which if you connect them to the bike, they clap together and they get stuck. So if I were to lift with my foot, the bike would come with it. And if I were to pedal and I push down, I can pull up as well at the same time. Otherwise, in regular pedals with flat soles, you can only push down. Right, so this will give you a more circular motion. Our brakes are just like a car, hydraulic disc. So we have discs in the front and the rear, and we have hydraulic fluid passing through these cables into the brake. Now these brakes have one very good thing. You need only one finger to pull them. Many bikes will need 2, 3, 4 fingers, but these brakes only need one, and if you have one finger free, you can control your descent easy and smooth. There are so many things that go to making a bike important, but none of this makes any difference if the rider themselves are not good. So what makes a bike a beast is a little bit of tech and a lot of rider.
Prajwal, or Professor Prajwal, I should say, really appreciate the masterclass. Mate, I have to say that you had my attention for the entire length of that video. Have you considered a career in teaching perhaps?
Yes, actually I have. I've considered teaching physics.